Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys today. In this one, we are going to be taking another look at our new Adamancipator deck as we are right here in the start of Season 4, the very beginning of it. As of the time that I am recording this, we are actually 3.5 hours into the new season. And I'll go ahead and I gotta just show this off real quick before we actually take a look at the deck itself. Yep, you can see I'm already actually up to Platinum. Managed to breeze through gold in just a few hours as soon as the new season dropped, and one of the reasons I'm excited to show you guys these games here is because as you can see, I managed to hit a 10-game win streak, right? Wasn't it 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 10-game win streak that took me from gold 4 to gold 1. And yep, that was with the Adamancipator deck, the very same that we had our deck profile for yesterday. So let's go ahead and head back into our decks so that we can take another look at it here. I'll go through it card by card, and then we'll talk about a little bit of the card choices for a little bit. If you want to see a more in-depth look at this deck, you can take a look at the combo guide in the link below. I'll also link the video I posted yesterday, the Season 4 deck profile update as well. But yep, let's go through the list here. We've got 1 Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, 3 Maxx, 1 Mecha Phantom Beasto Lion, 2 Doki Doki, 1 Prank-Kids Dropsies, 3 Adamancipator Seeker, 3 Adamancipator Researcher, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Gigantes, 3 Koa'ki Mirror Guardian, 1 Tackle Crusader, 3 Prank-Kids Rocksies, 3 Adamancipator Analyzer, 3 Koa'ki Mirror Supplier, 3 Block Dragon, 1 Nibiru, 1 Lightning Storm, 2 Called by the Grave, and 2 Forbidden Droplet. In the extra deck, we've got 1 Herald of the Arc Light, 1 Adamancipator Risen Raptite, 1 Boarload Savage Dragon, 1 Adamancipator Risen Dragite, 1 Gallant Granite, 1 Leak Spider, 1 Prank-Kids Meow Meow Moo, 1 Crystron Halky Fibrax, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Prank-Kids Dodo Doodle Doo, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Union Carrier, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, and then finally Access Code Talker. So yep, obviously I've been playtesting this build leading up to the beginning of the new season here, and in that time I was completely satisfied with it, and now that I am here in the new season, obviously I am very satisfied with this build. I like the ratios of this build a lot. The only thing I'm really thinking of potentially changing right now is I could see dropping Nibiru for either a second Lightning Storm or a Harpy's Feather Duster. It's funny, when I put in Lightning Storm, it actually was a Harpy's Feather Duster at first, but then I figured, you know, if I'm only going to play one copy of Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster, it might as well be Lightning Storm, because we're really planning on using Harpy's Feather Duster for going second anyway, so the Lightning Storm would be better. Now, I don't know, I think that logic would apply to a second Lightning Storm over Harpy's Feather Duster for me personally. Again, Nibiru is kind of the flex spot for me right now. Looking at the rest of the list, I like my ratios for like literally everything else in here. You know, I see quite a few people using 2 Koa'ki Mirror Supplier, but I actually really like 3 because Rocksies plus Supplier is a really, really good way to start comboing off without even the need to have an Adamancipator tuner in your hand, or to like have to rely on the excavation. Rocksies plus Supplier is guaranteed at minimum, I believe, a 3 material Appaloosa and a Boarload Savage Dragon. If I recall correctly, you can get at the bare minimum that. Yeah, because you can, you know, go into the Prank-Kids line and then go to a Gallant Granite, get the Block Dragon, you send the Block Dragon for Gigantes and then Seeker and Researcher, and even if you whiff on both Seeker and Researcher, you can still sink into Boarload with the Dodo Doodle Doo. So yeah, Rocksies plus Supplier is in fact guaranteed at minimum Appaloosa plus what do you call it, Boarload Savage. That's if you whiff off of both of their Adamancipators excavates, and if you don't have anything else at all. So that's why I like having 3 Supplier. That's also why I really like having the Prank-Kids in the deck. I think Rocksies is just like the best thing you can hope to excavate for. Like, honestly, yeah, it's really like whenever I'm excavating, it's like the one thing I always hope to see. I'm kind of also thinking about a 3rd Doki Doki potentially. This card's actually really good to hit off excavations too, and that's why I would want a 3rd copy of it, is to be able to hit off excavations. Obviously, if you're just trying to normal summon it, like if you normal summon it and you actually manage to activate and resolve its effect, that's awesome, you know, that's a full combo right there. But the problem is Doki Doki has a discard investment to use the effect and is vulnerable to like pretty much every single hand trap. So that was the main reason that I only had 2. But like I said, I'm kind of considering a 3rd one potentially. It's just, again, I love my ratios that I have right now so much. The Nibiru being the only flex spot I can personally see for my build. In the extra deck, I know I said in the deck profile update video yesterday that I was pretty much planning on taking out Herald of the Arc Light for Baroness de Fleur. And that's still, I think, the plan. It could also be Nightmare Phoenix. They're both really niche slots, actually. Like, these are what I would consider the flex spots of my extra deck at this moment. And Abyss Dweller is another card you could be playing in the extra deck, although I'm not a huge fan of it because, honestly, I just typically don't think you have the room for it, and I think it's a bit niche. Plus, it's another ultra rare I'd have to craft, and I know, I have so many materials, but I'm saving them still. I'm still saving them. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I am very happy with where the build is right now. Even for the time being, I know I keep saying I'm thinking about taking out this Nibiru, but I'm still very satisfied with this flex spot, just having a Nibiru, like, just in case, just another good card to have going second. But, okay, I've talked about, I think, enough about the deck here. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I don't really have much else to say. I think everything else is pretty standard or self-explanatory for Adamancipator builds. Oh, I guess I could address that I'm not running Foolish Burial or Miracle Ruptures. I just really don't think they're that great in this deck, to be quite honest. I don't, like... Yeah, you can Foolish just set up a Block Dragon, but, like, we already have ways to access Block Dragon. And, I don't know, it seems like either... What's the word I'm looking for? Win more. It kind of seems like a bit of a win more card. I'm especially not a huge fan of Miracle Rupture. Like, yeah, I know you can send Tackle Crusader, and that would be, to me, the main appeal of something like Miracle Rupture, but it's not really something I'm looking to play in this deck right now. I honestly, even though I'm just running like 5 random spells, I think this little spell suite right here, it's actually kind of convenient that Nibiru is by the spells, because like this little suite right here of like responses, I think is more valuable to me than not only Sekka's Light, but also stuff like Foolish Burial and Miracle Rupture. So that's why I'm not really playing those cards at the moment. I just don't feel the need to include them in the deck. I don't think the deck really needs them, to be honest. But okay, now, of course I say I talk enough about the deck and I talk about it for another like 2 minutes. Okay, now let's actually go take a look at some of these games here. Okay guys, let's go ahead and take a look at this first replay here. Yeah, I am still featuring replays for these videos because, well, one, like I said in the last video, I think for Adamancipator, I really do think that the replay style tends to fit this deck better. Because honestly, the vast majority, not even the vast majority, I'd say it's pretty 50-50, but a decent amount of my wins, like about 50%, have been just like me starting to combo and then my opponent concedes. And honestly, I don't think that's particularly entertaining when it comes to, like, you know, live gameplay. And, well, the other reason that I'm doing replays, and you will see like a couple of more replay videos, is because when I'm actually climbing up to Platinum 1, just trying to reshoot the live videos while I do that is a bit much. I mean, it's a bit much for how quickly I want to climb. Like, obviously it's not really, it's just like, you know, recording any other video as far as like making the video itself. But I don't know, when I at the start of the season, it's generally my aim to get to Plat 1 as quickly as possible. And in order to do that, I think removing the distractor of trying to record live, you know, making sure I'm sounding cohesive and making sure that I'm making sense and what I'm talking about and all that fun stuff. Generally, that does kind of impede my speed at which I'm able to climb a little bit, so... Yep, this game is off to a fairly standard start here. What did we start? Did we just start with a Seeker, I believe, right? Let's take a look at the graveyard here. Oh no, it was Researcher. Okay, that's right. So this video, or this replay, I actually just wanted to kind of show this one off because it's a pretty good example of what like a standard kind of opening is going to be like, right? So for the rest of these duels, because I have a total of 8 games to show you guys, and because obviously, you know, Adamancipator's first turn as you're going through the combo tends to take a while, I wanted to kind of show off like the process of going through the combo at regular speed in a full combo. So we're seeing the full 5 negates, right? We've got the 3 from Appaloosa, the Omni negate from Borreload, and the Spell Trap negate from Dragite. And we've got the extra deck lock via Union Carrier equipping the Dragon Buster Sword. Not only that, but we also managed to get out the IP Masquerena, and we're still going to have enough to set up a Block Dragon as well. So this is like the ideal turn 1. This is a full setup. And that's a very, very good one. Like I said, 5 negates, no extra deck access. I mean, yeah, our opponent's just going to pass back. They can't do anything. So, like, this, again, this might not have been a particularly, like, interesting back and forth kind of a game, but I wanted to establish, you know, for anyone who wasn't particularly familiar with the deck, again, you can check out my combo guide if you'd like to, but I also wanted to show a live example in a game of what a like full combo looks like. So now that we've seen that, now that we've established that, we're going to take a look at some more games, and like I said, we're actually going to go ahead and speed up through the beginning portion of like the game, basically the first turn where I combo off there. Alright, next replay is coming up here. This one's actually against Amazonas, which I was really surprised to see, you know, on the ladder straight off the bat, but at the same time it was kind of cool too. So yeah, I'm going to start with the pretty standard Koa'ki Guardian into Adamancipator Researcher to excavate, but unfortunately we are actually going to whiff on this excavation, which is not that great because now we have to use the Guardian, which I would normally like to have for negation in order to continue to combo. So as you can see, our opponent actually held the Ash for the Raptite. Good hold on the opponent's part, as opposed to trying to Ash the Researcher. Yep, we have to stop and I have to just leave the Raptite in defense mode. So I see the Road and I'm thinking, oh no, Sky Striker. But then I see the Amazonas Princess and I'm like, wow, this is actually the first time I've ever encountered Amazonas. And to encounter it within like the first hours of a season of somebody laddering, like props to them. Props to good old Butter here. So we're going to add Amazonas Heirloom, which is an equip spell that pretty much turns any Amazonas monster into Catastor. Obviously not that great for me because that means my opponent can destroy my Raptite pretty easily. But generally speaking, I mean, they're Amazonas. They didn't get to do, like set up a whole lot, right? They set up a queen and a princess, and so I'm not really too threatened by my opponent's board here. I'm just going to go ahead and Lightning Storm them and just get rid of all the back row. And then I'll summon my Rocksies and go into the Prank-Kids line here. Now, fortunately, off the Rocksies, as you can see, I'm able to get an Adamancipator Researcher, and I'm going to go ahead and throw this in fast forward because getting this Researcher is now going to enable me to kind of pick up where I left off when my opponent ashed the Raptite, and I get to go ahead and keep comboing here. I'll special summon the Researcher, get the Guardian. Now I can go into Gallant Granite, which means I can now get Block Dragon, and I mean, at this point, you know, I've got Block Dragon. It's like, it's pretty much over. I'm going to link them all the way for access code Talker, which if I recall correctly, this is going to be our opponent, be enough to get our opponent to concede. If not now, shortly, I'm pretty sure. But maybe that was a different game. Either way, we're going to chain block the Block Dragon, as you saw there with the access code Talker. By clicking Block Dragon, okay, there's the concede. I knew it was pretty shortly after that. But yeah, by choosing to activate Block Dragon's effect first and then activating access code Talkers. Remember, first in is last out. So access code Talker is chain link 2, and since your opponent can't respond to the effect of access code Talker and Block Dragon is chain link 1, that means therefore they are unable to respond to your Block Dragon as well. Generally good practice to chain block your Block Dragon into chain link 1 so your opponent can't ash it, as it is, you know, obviously our most important search. But okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. Okay, this next game here is against Sky Striker. I've actually run into quite a few Sky Strikers, I think more than just about any other deck so far this season, so that's kind of interesting. But, I mean, at the same time, it's still a fairly small sample size. Like I said, we're still in the first few hours of the season here. So we're able to open with both Analyzer and Seeker. We want to normal summon the Analyzer and then special the Seeker before we activate Analyzer's effect, just in case our opponent's got a hand trap that'll negate and destroy the Analyzer. You want to always special summon all of your Adamancipator tuners out before you activate their effects. So we hit a Guardian, which is always good. We hit the Halki Fibrax. The O-Lion is going to sync with the Guardian for Raptite. I was pretty confident in using Guardian at this point because O-Lion was the 5th summon and I didn't see a response on my opponent's end. So I knew they didn't have a Nibiru. So since my opponent didn't have any prompts at all to activate effects, even up to the 5th summon, now I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much in the home clear. I can more or less do whatever I want at this point. So yeah, we hit the Researcher, summon a Doki Doki with that, and then use Doki Doki to get Rocksies. That's right, I was actually trying to figure out how I was going to get into Block Dragon here, because I was like, oh shoot, I don't have enough level 4 monsters, but this is actually kind of the reason I was considering keeping Herald of the Arc Light, is for a situation like this, where we're able to use it with Doki Doki and the Researcher to make another level 4 to go into Gallant Granite, which is now going to enable us access to our Block Dragon normally, except, oops, this is actually why I want to keep this game. Oops, I accidentally added Gigantes. Now, you might be wondering, how did you accidentally add Gigantes? Well, I don't know what it is about this combo line, but every now and then, my brain will do this slip-up where when I'm searching for Gallant Granite, I mean to go for Block Dragon, but then my brain thinks I'm doing Block Dragon search, and I always pick up Gigantes first. So, this isn't the first time I've done this. I've done it like 2 or 3 times. I'm actively working to avoid making this mistake more, but yeah, so I accidentally added Gigantes. So when I did this, I was like, oh crap, I screwed up. Oh man, what am I going to do now? And then I realized, wait a second. There is actually something I can do to still get access to Block Dragon in this scenario. I'm going to link away my Link Spider and my Gigantes to go into Union Carrier, and now I can equip the Block Dragon to Gallant Granite. From there, I can go into Nightmare Unicorn. And the reason I go to Nightmare Unicorn is because I can't use Union Carrier as a link material to turn it summoned. And I don't want to use my Raptite as a link material because I want to synchro into Borreload Savage Dragon with it still. So I go into Nightmare Unicorn just to get the Block Dragon into the graveyard, and now I can activate its effect. So this is going to be a worse version of the play. This is not the ideal play you want to be going into, but I did want to show how, you know, if you screw up in the middle like I did just there, it's not the end of the world. You don't have to concede. You still have options. Now, again, the board's not going to be as good as it could be. Like, obviously, we can't set up the extra deck negate because we already use Union Carrier, and our Appaloosa is going to have only 2 negates instead of 3. But, you know, we were still able to set up the Appaloosa plus the Borreload Savage Dragon. So, opponent's going to drop Imperm on their turn to negate Borreload. We want to negate that because if our Borreload gets negated and we let it resolve, then the Halki Fibrax is going to get destroyed, and it'll cost our Borreload the counter and attack points. So, yeah, this is a little scary here. Obviously, I got my Called By destroyed as well as my Appaloosa, or sorry, my Nightmare. No, it's, yeah, my Appaloosa as well. Opponents start setting up their Sky Striker plays. I don't know really why they dumped Area 0 here. I mean, I get it was to set up a 3rd spell for Engage, but I feel like they still could have set up a better spell. Yeah, I don't know. And then, yeah, they're going to steal my Borreload Savage Dragon and go into Zeke, and then from Zeke into Kagiri. But, I don't know. Maybe I feel like you should have gone from Hayate into Kagiri, and then, you know, Kagiri plus the Borreload into Zeke. But either way, you know, they can get their Engage back. They're going to add a Shark Cannon and then go into Shizuku. I guess it doesn't really matter at the end what order you go into it if you're going to end on Shizuku, now that I think about it. So that actually wasn't really a misplay on my opponent's part. Ooh, Jesus, chair. Okay, so yep, with multi-roll, they're going to get to set their Engage as well as Widow Anchor. I noted that they set Widow Anchor over here, and like, this is another like small, like little psychological thing that I like to kind of do with like face down back rows. But like, since they revealed in the Widow Anchor being over here, I actually have a sneaking suspicion that they probably ended up putting it over here. Now that might be like seem like it's going to be irrelevant, but it will actually come up if I recall correctly. This should be the game where this comes up. I would hope I remember right. I mean, this game only happened a few hours ago, but but yeah, anyway, we're going to, yeah, so here's the deal, right? I'm going to go into Nightmare Phoenix because I want to draw out this Widow Anchor before I actually start, like, comboing off. I want to go into my Dragite is my end goal in order to start bouncing my opponent's stuff. But, yeah, sure enough, they did actually have Widow Anchor over here. Like I said, it came up because we Nightmare Phoenix to target it. And now that we have forced the Widow Anchor, I can safely go into Dragite now without having to really worry about the Widow Anchor messing us up. Also, linking away that Block Dragon was important to get our searches, mainly for the Researcher here. We now get to activate our onboard Analyzer's effect, and we hit a Tackle Crusader, which is obviously very good because we're trying to go into Dragite here. Before I do though, I'll go ahead and get Researcher's effect off, and we hit that as well. Into a Supplier. Again, I could just fast forward this part, I suppose. Alright, yeah, from here, like I said, I'm going to Synchro Summon into Dragite. And I'm going to Excavate to try to bounce as much of my opponent's board as possible. But unfortunately, we only hit one rock monster, so I can only put back the Shizuku. Now that's going to allow my opponent to get Ray back, and this is a bit of a problem for me, because now they can go into, I believe it's Kaina is her name, the Earth Sky Striker, who can prevent one of my monsters from attacking. So my goal here, I want to pause real quick. So my goal here is to go into access code, but I don't want to go into her or into access code while this Ray is still on the board, because I don't want my access code's ability to attack to get locked down. So I'm going to try to draw out the Ray's effect here, and I'm going to do that by linking away my Tackle Crusader to use the to try to put the Ray face down. That's going to force the Kaina to come out, which is going to keep my Dragite from attacking. Now from here, I'm trying to figure out like if I can still get lethal, and it turns out I actually can by linking into the Dodo Doodle Doo, and then from there going into access code using the Dragite as a material. And as you can see, this game I actually end up using literally every single card in my extra deck. Yeah, now I can use access code to clear the board of monsters. I'll go ahead and clear the board of one of the back rows as well, even though it doesn't particularly matter. I'm able to get Block Dragon back and then attack for game. So, yeah, I wanted to show this game not only to talk about that interaction just now, but also, like, you know, I've said it before on this channel, I'm not afraid to show games where I misplay, because we all misplay, and it's important to learn how to play out of misplays. Like, obviously we should learn how to play, you know, optimally and correctly, but we're not machines. We're going to misplay. And so I think it's also equally important to learn how to play out of misplays. And the biggest step towards that is to learn to not concede when you make a big misplay. Like, it would have been so easy for me to concede when I accidentally got the Gigantes off of Gallant Blade, or Gallant Granite, but we persevered, we pushed through, and we managed to find a way to get lethal at the end of the day. So, yeah, big reason why I wanted to show this game. Okay, let's go ahead and go into the next one. Okay, next game for us to show off here. I forgot to look what deck we were playing against here. But we do get the first turn as well. Oh, this is against, shoot. Well, I'll remember as soon as their turn comes up. Yeah, so we start off by normal summoning Analyzer, but we immediately get Ash, and unfortunately I don't have an out to that with this hand, so I'm just going to have to set Droplet and then pass back to my opponent here. Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. What deck was this? It's Dragon Maids. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I kind of figured I wasn't going to remember until I saw the actual card, but... so this is a bit of an interesting line here that actually took a little bit more thinking than the replay might imply. So when my opponent summoned the Parlor Dragon Maid, I had the Droplet face down, and I knew for a fact that I wanted to negate this Parlor Dragon Maid because Dragon Maids are kind of this deck where if you give them an inch, they take a mile. Like, if you let this one Parlor resolve, then like they're going to be able to just snowball from there. So I definitely wanted to keep the big dragons out of their hand and graveyard. So I did decide that dropletting the Parlor Dragon Maid was worth it. So then the next decision point was, what do I discard with Droplet? Or like, what do I send? I didn't want to send Analyzer because, you know, it's not that hard for my Analyzer to live through this turn if I negate the Parlor, and I want to be able to use the Analyzer's effect again on my next turn. So definitely not that. I didn't want to send Doki Doki because Doki Doki is also very important to going off next turn. If I Analyzer and they have another Ash or a way to negate my Analyzer, then I still want to be able to normal summon Doki Doki and use its effect. In that vein, I also have to keep Prank-Kids Rocksies as a guaranteed way for me to be able to use Doki Doki and not have to hope to draw into a rock monster to discard. So that only left a Maxx left in my hand as the last card to send. And with Droplet negating the Parlor Dragon Maid anyway, I figured I didn't have a need for the Maxx anyway. anyway. So yeah, it's again, it would be really easy to just flip the droplet here and be like, oh, what's the best card to discard? Oh, either Rocksies or Doki Doki. Probably most people might be like, oh, Doki Doki. But again, even some seemingly small decision points like this are really important to think about. Like, really try to think, like, what do I need for my next turn? What do I not need for this turn? How is this game going to play out if this effect resolves? And based on how it's going to play out, what should I discard? So again, I just wanted to show that because, again, I think that Maxx, sending the Maxx there is not that obvious, but I do believe it is the correct play. Okay, so back to my next turn here. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to first activate my Analyzer's ability. Unfortunately, though, I'm going to... Oh, no, I don't whiff. Okay, I do get the Supplier. Never mind. I thought I whiffed here. As always with Supplier, we're going to go ahead and add Guardian. Our opponent's got a Droll Mockbird, which is like slightly annoying. It is going to keep us from getting a big Block Dragon play, but it's not really going to hinder us well, it's going to hinder us definitely a decent bit, but not super bad. So my opponent does have a Tiding to get rid of the Raptite as well, but again, even that isn't really going to be that bad. I'm going to send the token for Link Spider and then go ahead and just go into Nightmare Unicorn just to get rid of their last back row. And at this point, I'm just going to kind of be like a beatdown deck, right? Like I've got my Koa'ki Mirror Guardian to negate their Parlor on the next turn, which I'm going to do right now. And then I'm just going to beat them down with the Unicorn, pretty much, is my game plan here. Yep, they don't have any response, so I'm going to normal summon Guardian the next turn. I actually end up drawing my third Guardian somehow. They're going to Tiding to get back their Parlor Dragon Maid. I do, again, want to just keep their big dragon out of the graveyard, so I'm going to go ahead and negate it. I'll smack him with Nightmare Unicorn, pass back to them. They'll set a monster. From here, I was actually planning on going into Access Code to blow up their face-down monster, but summoning the third Koa'ki Mirror Guardian is actually enough to get my opponent to concede here. So, yep, again, I wanted to show this game as an example of, one, being persistent in negating Dragon Maid's little dragons. If you cut them off from access to their big dragons, as you can see, they really can't do anything. And two, again, I wanted to talk about that decision point with the droplet discarding the Maxx, because I do feel that was like a kind of small decision that many people, I don't want to say many, that some people might not think about as much as maybe they should. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. Okay, this next game is going to be against Phantom Knights, and this is actually going to be a game where I go second, believe it or not. Finally. Yeah, actually, I've been having really good luck tonight as far as going first. Like, in my first 7 games, I got to go first all 7 times. It was my 8th game was the first time I had to go second. So, yeah, my opponent's going to activate the Phantom Knights Torn Scales here. I'm going to go ahead and Ash it. Because I don't want my opponent to set up their grave. That's how they get searches, and they only have 3 other cards left in their hand. Unfortunately, one of them is Dangerous Tsukinoko, so they do still have access to plays. But again, that choke point for me there is that Phantom Knight's Torn Scale right off the bat. Generally speaking, I like ashing any search effect that requires a discard because it ends up being a -1 for your opponent in the end. So that makes it much more worth it than other searches. I mean, obviously, other searches you still want to negate, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so my opponent's going to get the Rusty Bardish here and set up the trap monster. I don't remember what its name is, but I mean, that's really, they're not going to be able to do a whole lot else here. Yeah, aside from summoning the Torn Scales. So, yeah, I'm not really threatened by my opponent's board whatsoever, and I've got the Rocksies plus the Supplier, so that is, if we can throw in fast forward here, that is more than enough to combo off, as I explained in the deck profile earlier, but here we now get to see a kind of live example of how the combo works. You summon Rocksies, send it from Meow Meow Moo, special summon Supplier when the Rocksies leaves, summon the droplets, link the droplets and the Meow Meow Moo into Dodo Doodle Doo, then Dodo Doodle Doo is going to go ahead and get out your Rocksies. After that, you can overlay them into Gallant Granite. Gallant Granite detaches to add a rock monster, that's going to be our Block Dragon. We then banish the Rocksies and the Meow Meow Moo from the graveyard in order to summon the Block Dragon, link the 3 away into Apollosia. Now that we've linked away into Block Dragon, we can get Researcher, Seeker, and, well, normally we'd get Gigantes. We already had it in hand, so I got a Supplier instead. So yep, then you can special the Gigantes, special the Researcher, special the Seeker, and then from here, even if you whiff on both of these, you can sink the Researcher and the Gigantes into the Raptite, and even if you whiff on that, you can still synchro the Seeker into the Raptite into a Borload Savage Dragon. So again, like I said in the when we were looking at the deck itself. At bare minimum with this combo, you again, that combo being Rocksies plus Supplier, bare minimum you get 3 material Appaloosa plus Boarload Savage Dragon with the Omni Negate. But obviously that's only the bare minimum. That's it if you whiff 3 excavations and have nothing else. We did not whiff our excavations, and we have plenty of other things, so we get to do a lot more than that. Yeah, even though I know I was going second here, I still decided to go into Appaloosa just in case my opponent had like a, you know, a quick effect or a hand trap or something. But no, they're not going to have it here. From there, I'll then go into Dragite. Like, normally going second, I'd go into Access Code Talker, but with the way my opponent's board was, I knew their back row wasn't anything threatening, so I mainly felt threatened by a potential, like, maybe Nibiru or something. So that's why I went into Appaloosa instead of Access Code. Plus, I knew I could go into Dragite and then just bounce their board as well. So, okay, yep, that is it for that game. Let's take a look at the next. Alright, this next game that we're taking a look at is actually going to be against yet another Sky Striker deck. Like I said, I've run into quite a few of them tonight, actually. And we get the first turn in again, because I'm just the luckiest Adamancipator player in the world. Sure, we'll just say that. So, yep, I'll throw it in fast forward once again. As you can see, we've got the Rocksies plus Supplier setup. Our opponent's got a Maxx Seed, but we fortunately have Ash, because again, we're the best Adamancipator player in the world. Not the luckiest, the best. that's how that works, right? So, yep. Some of the Rocksies send the Meow Meow Moo, Specialist Supplier. Some of the Dropsies. We go ahead and link into Dodo Doodle Doo. Then we get another Rocksies, and from there, just like last time, we're going to overlay into Gallant Granite, and then detach, search for good old Block Dragon, summon the Block Dragon by banishing the stuff out of our graveyard into Appaloosa, and then from there, we can get the Block Dragon, search for Gigantes, Researcher, and Seeker. Then we special summon Gigantes, special the Researcher, special the Seeker. I know I went through this already. I just want to, like, I don't know. If anyone's looking, you know, at this video for advice on how you play this deck, I just want to make sure to drill this line of play into your head, because it's such a good one. And again, it's why I like running 3 Supplier. I see a lot of builds only playing 2. And I can see why people would think the 3rd Supplier is a flex spot, but I really don't think it is. I think the fact that Rocksies plus Supplier just enables such a good combo yeah, I think it makes it definitely worthwhile. I've actually kind of, like, part of me has considered a second Gigantes before, because actually Rocksies plus Gigantes is the same combo. Really, it's Rocksies plus any level 4 extender will do it for you. So if you've got other level 4 extenders in your deck, that can work as well. So this isn't going to be a full setup. Unfortunately, we aren't able to get Dragite out, but we're still able to get everything else. You know, the IP Masquerena, the Block Dragon back, the Union Carrier for the extra deck lock, and of course our Negates in Appaloosa and Boarload Savage Dragon. So opponent's got the Harpies and the Raigeki, a bit unfortunate for us, but in response to the Raigeki, we can just go ahead and link them into Access Code Talker, because remember, the monsters summoned off of IP Masquerena cannot be destroyed by card effects, so if you're not using the Masquerena to go into Nightmare Unicorn to respond to something your opponent's put down, like if your opponent's Lightning Storming or Raigeking you, you can use the IP Masquerena to go into Access Code, and then you get a 4300 monster that can't be destroyed by card effects, and then, you know, threatens to win on your next turn. So, oops, I still had the game in fast forward. I only meant to do that for my combo, but, yeah, our opponent tries to set up their graveyard and then ultimately go for the engage, but alas, I have the Ash, so they are not able to do a whole lot, and since I've ashed their engage, I mean, my victory is assured at this point. They do actually get to add the Widow Anchor and then use it during the end phase to reduce my Access Code Talker's effect, which is a very, whoops, sorry, I bumped the mic there, which is a very, very good play on their part. It definitely makes it less likely for me to lethal them, but unfortunately, that's not going to be enough, because I'll summon the Seeker, activate the effect, they are going to Ash the Seeker, but I have Block Dragon out, so I can just link away into Crystron, Halki, Fibrax. I still have that in my extra deck, but, I mean, the most important thing is that I'm linking away the Block Dragon, which, as my opponent knows, since they concede, is going to give me the searches, which is going to be far more than enough for me to have lethal. So, okay, let's look at the next one. Alright, next game here. This one's actually going to be against a pure Tri-Brigade deck, which I don't see too often on the ladder. It's usually Tri-Zoo. But, yep, we get the first turn against the pure Tri-Brigade deck here. I'm going to lead off with Doki Doki because I don't really have much other choice with this hand, but somehow this actually resolves, so that's cool. Yeah, the Doki Doki resolves to summon an Adamancipator Analyzer, which also resolves to get out a Guardian, so that's really nice, and we just take it and fast forward from here. Yeah, so somehow this is like, I could count on one hand the number of times I've like turn one normal summon Doki Doki, activate effect, and it actually resolves. But you know, I guess this was one of them. We'll take it. So yep, as you can see, we're going into fairly standard plays here with the Halki Fibrax line. Since we don't have a Prank-Kids, we don't go with the Prank-Kids line here. Going into the Appaloosa, sending away Block Dragon as a material. Of course, we're going to get Gigantes, Researcher, and Seeker, and we still have the Raptite Excavate as we're doing now. That'll actually lead us into Analyzer, and if you can get an Analyzer off of the Raptite Excavate, then you've pretty much guaranteed got the full, setup, the full negate. Getting into that Dragite is actually the hardest part of the combo, because you either have to have an Analyzer on board, which is a little more hard to have on board for turn 1, or you have to have an extra level 2 non-tuner, which is usually just Doki Doki. So, but yep, we got the Analyzer off of the Raptite, so we're able to go into Dragite, as well as Union Carrier to throw the Destruction Sword onto the Boarload Savage Dragon. From here we can go into IP Masquerena, and then we can even get Block Dragon back. So this is yet another full board for them to break. Now my opponent, whoops, I went through that too quickly there. My opponent is going to have Droplet, which is why they didn't straight out concede. Now as they activate Droplet, I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at my board, I'm thinking like, okay, IP Masquerena, Appaloosa, Dragite, Boarload. If they really want to stop like everything here, then they have to send 4 cards. And even then, that doesn't stop the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. And I also still have a Maxx in hand. So even as this Droplet's coming down, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, there's still no way. There's no way they can lethal me here. And sure enough, I mean, our opponent's going to start setting up for plays here. They're going to, search for the Chaos. They actually didn't negate my Dragite. They only sent 3 cards to negate Masquerena, Appaloosa, and Boarload. So I'm still able to negate this Tenki with Dragite's ability. Opponent still summons Fractal here, and at this point I just feel bad for them because they activate the effect, and I'm thinking to myself like, oh no, they're clearly not very familiar with playing against Adamancipator, because it's not Boarload's effect that's keeping you from summoning from the extra deck, it's the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. So yeah, my opponent goes to activate the Tri-Brigade Fractal's effect, realizes that they can only activate the first effect, and then concedes afterward, which I've done before as well. I've been in that scenario. Not in this exact scenario, but in a similar one. Anyway, yep, we've got one more game to look at before we round out the video here, so let's go ahead and move on to that. Alright, final game for us to take a look at, and it is what else but Sky Strikers. So yeah, like I said, lots of Sky Strikers on the ladder tonight, at least the decks I'm playing up against anyway. So, again, we are going to get to go first, again, but which has actually been, I think, all but one of these games that I think about it. Although, to be fair, 3 of these games were against Sky Strikers, and I have to imagine at least 1 or 2 of them I lost the coin flip and they let me go first anyway, so I'm pretty sure that happened at least once, thinking back, but yep, as always, I'm going to just fast forward here. Once again, we've got the Rocksies plus Supplier line, which is once again why I completely am an advocate for not only putting Prank-Kids in your Adamancipator deck, which most people are doing anyway, but also why you should be playing 3, not 2, but 3 Koa'ki Mirror Supplier, which I also think most people are doing. Maybe it wasn't even that many builds I saw with 2 Suppliers, but I know I've seen at least a few. So, yep, from here we do, pretty standard, excuse me, yep, we do pretty standard Adamancipator stuff, getting our golden trio off of the Block Dragon, that being Gigantes, Researcher, and Seeker. Here, I actually think it was maybe a little bit right to excavate with Raptite before excavating with Researcher, because it did make it a little bit more likely for me to hit Analyzer, which is what I wanted to hit most off of Raptite, but, like, honestly, whatever. At the end of the day, it's really not a big deal at all. We're still able to go into Boarload and Union Carrier. As you can see, we're able to set up the negates, as well as the the extra deck lock. Jesus, I couldn't do words there for a second. And I laughed and paused actually, because looking there, you see I just linked away Researcher and Block Dragon for this IP Masquerena. But just think about it. If this was 3 days from now, 4 days from now, 2 days from now. I can't. Well, technically 2.5 days from now. If this was when the new packs come out, then I could have gone into Baroness de Fleur here and had that set up as well. Like, can you imagine how scary that would be? I'm going to leave this Koa'ki Mirror Guardian as an extra negate, but yeah, like, just think about that. Oh, geez, again, I just left it in fast forward here, and things started happening. But just think about that. Like, in a few days, this board will have been the same, except Koa'ki Mirror Guardian will be Baroness de Fleur. That's nuts. So yeah, my opponent has Winged Dragon Ra, the ultimate kaiju here, to get rid of my Appaloosa, my Boarload Savage, and my IP Masquerena. So that's not good. That's definitely not good. They're going to go for the Rhoda here. I'm going to Ash in response. I should have figured it was Sky Striker, even though it was the Ra that threw me off. Like, I wasn't sure if they were going to add some, like, weird God card support or something, but yeah, I definitely should have saved Ash for the Engage instead of the Rhoda there. But our opponent didn't summon the Sky Striker anyway, or the Ray anyway, so it didn't end up even really mattering. I'm going to go straight into Access Code using the Union Carrier, Ra, and Block Dragon so that I can get my Block Dragon search, I can get this Ra off my field, and then I can also blow up my opponent's back row without them really being able to respond to me at all. So, nope, once again, I just add the usual suspects here. I already used Gigantes, so I got the Supplier instead. But since I already control Guardian, I'm able to summon both Researcher and Seeker, and I mean, at this point, it's pretty much, guaranteed to be game over, so I'm going to grab the Supplier with the Researcher, then I'll activate Seeker's ability, and at this point, I don't need to do, like, too much comboing. Yeah, I'm just going to sink these three into Dragite just to get some attack points on the board. I'll special summon the Supplier since I can, I'll summon the Guardian, then I'll just smack my opponent down for game. Yep, so that is going to round it out for the games I've got to show you guys. Let's go ahead and move on to the outro. Alright everybody, so I hope you enjoyed taking a look at a whopping 8 replays there. I think that's actually the most amount of replays I've ever shown, maybe even games in general that I've ever shown in a video. So, well yeah, it would have to be, because the lives would take way longer if it was 8 games. But yeah, so cool. I am definitely glad to be through gold as quickly as I am, and with any luck I'll be at Platinum 1 in a good amount of time as well. So my plan originally was to just grind through gold with Adamancipator and then switch over to Tri-Brigade when I hit Platinum, but honestly it's been going so well with Adamancipator so far that I'm just going to keep using it in Platinum here. Don't worry, I will also be using Tri-Brigade here shortly, so if fans of that deck, don't be disappointed. This isn't going to be an exclusively Adamancipator channel now. Tri-Brigade Zodiac will definitely see its time to shine as well. But, yep, that is going to do it for the video here. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I am super appreciative of your viewership, especially if you're watching to the very end like this. I am even more appreciative if you're commenting and subscribing. That's awesome, as always, because I like to interact with you guys in the comments and, kind of respond to you guys down there. I try to take time out of literally every single day to respond to at least a few comments, so... yeah, if you comment, you might hear back from me. It's a pretty decent chance. But yeah, you don't feel like you have to comment or subscribe or any of that. Honestly, as long as you're here viewing, that's totally cool with me. But without further ado, this is XLex, signing out. Hope you have a fantastic day.